Welcome to the Story 516 podcast, where we sit down with Christians from across denominations and talk about how God is at work in the world today and inspire you to see God at work in your own life in new ways. Welcome back to the Story 516 podcast. I'm Zach, your host, and today I am joined by a friend of mine, Juliet Artman. Juliet, welcome.
Thank you for having me. So glad to be here.
Yeah, we got to know each other through school, I guess we could say. We were both in this writing program called the Author Conservatory, which is a college alternative for writers. And I had some assignments that we ended up working on together, got to know you, got to know kind of the heart behind both why you write and also kind of business endeavors that you have taken on. Um, but instead of me telling the audience all about you, I'd love to hear that from yourself. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about who you are and kind of what you do.
Yes. Yeah. So I have two hats that I wear. They do overlap. That's what the Author Conservatory teaches us, that business and being a writer are actually more similar than you would think. But I write contemporary fiction for teen girls to inspire them to keep trusting the Lord in just the everyday struggles that we face of following Christ. So my first short story was published in Voices of the Future, third anthology, with Zach. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed the process of launching that and just seeing the way that that story has touched people and blessed people already is just so cool. That's the reason I write, is to impact people, and especially teen girls. When teen girls come up to me and say that story meant a lot, and that blesses me so much. So that's the writer hat that I wear. And then I also run a house cleaning business. So I started that because of the Author Conservatory. In Author, everyone starts a pop-up business, and I decided to keep going. Mine has got way past the pop-up stage, but that's where I started. It was just starting something simple, something that could make me some money, and it has grown from there. So I have employees and a full schedule of management and just all the things that go with having employees, which is really fun. I love all of them. But yeah, business is something that I spend a lot of time on too. So writing and business are kind of my two big things. And then I also serve at a worship ministry in the evenings. So that's my fun thing that is just fun to do and get out of the house.
Nice. So was a cleaning business something that I'm guessing you didn't dream about starting a cleaning business growing up. But I'd love to hear a little bit about that, like why cleaning, and yeah, does it connect with anything or?
Yes. Yeah. So definitely never dreamed of running a cleaning business. There are definitely days that I would have to remind myself, now, that 13-year-old me would be very impressed. Even if it's hard, 13-year-old me would probably go cry in a corner because they'd be too scared. So, yes, running a cleaning business was never really something that I thought I would do. Um, for part of the business training, starting a pop-up business was leaning into something that you already could do. So I knew I could do chores. And we had just recently moved, and I decided I didn't want to do babysitting anymore. It had worked well for a short period of time, but I was just ready to move on to bigger and better things. So I decided to start a cleaning business. I also knew at that point I didn't want to get a part-time job. I just knew too many people that were stressed out and exhausted from that. And I was pursuing a career as an author through the Author Conservatory. So I didn't want to come home in the evenings and not want to write. So a cleaning business was the way to go. And it took a while to get it actually off the ground. But I would say now it is one of my dreams. And now it is something that I think about all the time and I have vision for. But a while ago, that was not the case.
Yeah. No, I can totally relate to how a cleaning business isn't as like mentally taxing in terms of like the tasks you're
For
doing.
sure. Yeah.
One summer I worked as a janitor, and I kind of found the same benefits of like, oh, I could finish my shift, go home, and still like
Mhm.
have full mental capacity to do hard work.
Yeah. Because you could just, while you're cleaning, especially vacuuming, like I have a team of employees now. So like often I am talking with them as we like clean the bathrooms or the kitchen. But when you're vacuuming, you just get to think. Like you just get to think and pray and just let your mind wander to all the things, which is really cool and a huge blessing.
Cool. To I guess we can kind of pivot both ways for business or writing, but I guess talking about the writing side to kind of jump to that other side of who you are. On the writing side, how much is influenced by your faith, and is kind of a faith community kind of your intended audience for your writing?
Yeah, my writing is very heavily influenced by my faith. And it comes back to 13-year-old me, 12, 13, something like that. We just moved out of state, away from friends, away from family, just away from the community that I really knew and loved. And that was a massive change in my life. I was already a Christian at that point. I had already decided to follow Christ, and I was faithfully doing that. But when hard things come, that's just a lot different. It's a lot different to stay faithful when things like that happen. And I was so young too that it was harder to know just like what can you doubt the Lord? Like, can you be like, I don't like this. This is not comfortable. Is that okay? Should you say those things to him? And because I had no in person friends, I really turned to books and I turned to stories. Right around that time, I found this genre called contemporary stories, which was so new to me. I was a big historical reader. I still am, but especially when I was younger, it was pretty much all historical that I read. And contemporary captivated me because it was like so real world. It was things that I was doing every day. So I loved contemporary, but there came a point where I started to become frustrated with it because characters never made decisions out of the mindset that I had of what does the Lord think about this, or how does this honor the Lord, or yeah, just that worldview of how do I live for Christ. So that was a big frustration of mine when I was in that transition of moving. Um, so I actually just sat down and I was like, well, if there's no stories out there, I'm going to go write my own. So that's what I did. I wrote some projects that were contemporary and where characters were really wrestling with the same things I was, of how do you keep trusting the Lord when I don't know the whole story, when I can't see exactly how this is going to work out, and when it's just hard right now. Like I know the Lord's good, but it's just hard. So that very much influences who I write for too. I write for that 13-year-old or that 15-year-old or that 18-year-old who has decided to follow Jesus and they're not turning back. That is the commitment they have made, but it's gotten hard. So how do you keep going when you're just weary and you just want someone else to relate to you? I think that's a huge power of story, is it makes us feel seen, and it makes us just like, it takes a load off of we're alone, because it can feel that way if we're just living life. But story is a really safe way to like open up someone else's heart and someone else's mind and a character, and then for you to say, yeah, I feel that same way. So that's why I write, and some of the reasons that I'm so passionate about this.
Yeah, I know that's good. I totally am thinking of stories in my own life that I've read that I've been like, oh man, they get me. Like
Mm-hmm.
the author gets me, understands kind of what this struggle or situation is like. So
Yeah.
that can be extremely powerful. So, one of the main questions we ask here on the podcast is, how do you see God at work in the world today? So, kind of coming from either the writing side or starting the cleaning business, how have you seen God kind of active in the world today through your specific journey?
Yeah. I'm going to take it from both sides, actually. So I have a really big heart for mentoring younger people in a really casual way of just like, we show up and we do these things and we just live life together. And the first like instance that I really have gotten to do that is with my employees. They're all younger. than I am right now. So they're all teenagers. Most of them are still in homeschool, high school. Um, so that has been so cool to just have like those casual conversations, like just getting to know each other, but then like we're scrubbing showers and we're like talking about how hard it is to make friends and how to make friends in a way that honors the Lord. And that's something I've walked through. So like it's such I love passing along experiences that I have gained from just being a few steps ahead in this journey with Christ. So I've loved that with just being in person with those girls. Um, and then for writing, like that's also my heart is I want to come alongside and be that big sister and be that mentor that gets it because it is hard, but also that it's possible. Like you can make it. I'm going to cheerlead you all the way to the end because it is possible, even if it's hard. So I think it's been really cool to see how God has grown that in me over the last few years. It really started with my cleaning business, but then like the worship ministry I'm involved in just gives me a lot of opportunities for that too. I'm in a little bit more of a leadership role this fall, and it's been really cool to like follow up with people and just check in with people and build that mentorship relationship because I do think that's a lot of what discipleship is like is coming alongside someone one on one and laughing and crying and having really deep conversations and having really ridiculous almost obnoxious conversations because in the middle of all those things we build actual community and we learn from each other, which is such a cool thing that we don't have to do this alone. We get to have other people to do it with.
Cool. So I love what you're talking about with mentorship, discipleship, kind of staying very intentional about being the, I don't know, hands and feet of Christ. Did you find growing up that there were those people in your own life that kind of were that role for yourself?
Honestly, I think it's something I long to do for others because in a lot of ways I feel like I lacked it myself. I have parents that are super involved in my life, and I'm really thankful for that. I think that's probably like the first people that I would like put on that mentorship area. And then when I was going through a really rough time of really intense loneliness, then I had a mentor and she was fantastic. Like she was just really helpful to have someone outside the family to talk to. I was a little bit older of a teenager at that point. So like I needed my parents' counsel, but I also needed someone else's. And she definitely modeled for me like we had a more formal mentorship relationship, but I don't know, she modeled for me the casual conversation too, especially towards the end of our time together. And then author Brett and Kara have really been like huge mentors in my life because we've talked business and we've talked writing, but we've also talked I'm in panic mode and I don't know why. So
Right.
having the full range with people I think is really cool and is something I'm really thankful for from Brett and Kara that they've given that to me. Because yeah, I think they're some of the biggest mentors in my life, and I'm definitely always looking for more mentors. Like I always want to connect with more people that are older than I am who have lived a little more life than I have.
Cool. Yeah, and for our audience, Brett and Kara, the two kind of founders and heads of the Author Conservatory, very, very amazing people. Maybe one day we can get them on this podcast.
That
We'll
would be
see.
pretty cool.
In a sense, I love that you didn't have that ongoing mentor in your own life growing up because it shows other people that just because I didn't have fill in the blank in my own life doesn't mean I can't be that for someone else.
Hmm.
So it shows kind of, I don't know, that God can help you and empower you and give you the guidance and information you need to fill needs, even
Yeah,
if you didn't have that experience or direct learning yourself. On the business side, you're in direct contact with different clients all the time. Do you see kind of your faith playing into your interactions in those instances too?
yeah. This is actually something that one of my employees and I have talked about recently. Of we're working, we're all Christians, like all of us working together are. So we're not necessarily working in like an unbeliever environment. But we have noticed, this is just an interesting observation, but when you clean for someone long enough, you do get a glimpse into where they're at with the Lord. And then you get a glimpse into what to pray for, because asking someone to come into your home is really intimate. Like, you're going into spaces that they don't even like invite their friends into. Like, there's rooms that
Yeah.
their kids don't even get to go into that we clean. And that is a huge responsibility, but it's also a really cool time that the Lord does show us little hints and be like, hey, pray for that. Like, really, you weren't supposed to read that little note on their mirror, but it matters. Like, it matters that they're thinking that way, or it matters that they're struggling with that. Um, so yeah, I think just like that side of it, of like being in someone's homes, does give you a really cool opportunity to pray. Definitely when I'm vacuuming, sometimes I'm like, Lord, just bless this family. Like, just give them what they need. I don't even know what they need, but I know they need you. So like, help them find that. Another big heart of ours is to care for people well. And I think that's exactly what Jesus does, is he cares for you better, better than you expect, better than you deserve. Um, and that's how we want to clean. We want to clean with care, treating it as if it was our own, because I think that's a huge model that's laid forth in the gospel, is just doing everything with absolute excellence.
And I guess kind of now as you're moving forward, because you're pretty early in your career, both on the business and writing side,
Mm-hmm.
where do you see yourself going, or where are you hoping to go from here?
Yes, so many dreams, so many goals. Definitely a planner who I could try to plan out the next 10 years of my life. None of the things will happen, because if you had asked me 5 years ago if I was running a cleaning business and like had launched a book, I would have told you no. So like, I can't really plan that much. I think that's a humility that I'm glad I have. I'm glad I've gained that wisdom of, you can plan things, but God's plans are way better. Definitely like cleaning business, I want to step more into management, and have teams do a lot of the cleaning. I really do enjoy getting out of the house to clean. It's nice to just not be in the same four walls all day and just like do meaningful work. Like, cleaning is something that you see immediate reward for, because space is messy and then it's cleaned up. So I really enjoy that, and that's refreshing for the soul. So I would never step completely out of cleaning, at least not until like I have a family or get married. Um, and then writing side, it's just being faithful. I'm definitely not where I expected to be with writing projects like right now at the time of this, but I also see a lot of the Lord's guiding in that. Like, this is not a path that I chose, but that means it's a path I need to be on, because it means it's the Lord's path. So I would love to publish novels. That's my goal, is to publish novels for teens to encourage them to keep seeking the Lord even when it gets hard. But it looks like right now, first I need to learn how to live that a little more, of like how to continue to seek the Lord even when it doesn't look like my plan on the writing side. So yes, writing novels is something I'm excited to do more of in these coming years.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to be pursuing the writing dream alongside you, having been
Yes.
published in the same short story anthology. I encourage our listeners to definitely check out Juliet's stories, Details in the Buttercream. It's a story for people who love cupcakes, who like it really just, it honestly reflects what you're saying about who you're writing to and kind of the message that you're trying to convey very, very well. So anyone who needs a little encouragement, and I mean, it's fun being in a short story anthology because I typically just read, watch, write big fantasy stuff. So it's fun to see that you can have these really encouraging, wonderful tales in a contemporary setting in a
Mhm.
bakery.
Yes, but be warned, the story might make you hungry. I've been told that multiple times.
Yeah, yes. Awesome. So, Juliet, where can people find you if they're curious to kind of follow your journey?
Yes, so I have a website that, depending on when you're listening to this, might still be a little under construction, but it's JulietArtman.com, and it's Artman, Artman, not Hartman. And then from there, you can sign up for my email list. My email list is the main way that I just communicate to people. It is our family. We have all kinds of fun over there. I share a lot of heart things. I share writing things. I share business things. Just a little bit of everything happens on the email list. And it's definitely the best place to like stay in contact with me. And then I'm also on Instagram at Juliet Artman, author.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Juliet, for stopping by today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You can support the show by going to our Patreon page at patreon.com/story516. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We look forward to seeing you next time.